Roth IRA. I bought a Honda S2000. I don't need to save for a mid-century modern house. I bought a Honda S2000. I don't need my parents' inheritance. I bought a Honda S2000. I don't need a personality. I bought a Honda S2000. Time to back into every parking space and shove rags in my pants. I'm better than all of you. I'm better than everybody.
More than you can afford, pal. Honda S2000. Give my kinks the NPR treatment. What does that mean? Talk directly into the microphone. Call my dick small. Watch me change lanes and touch myself. Touch my skin. Touch my face. Scratch my jawline like a cat and call me a good boy. Spread a towel on my chest because I'm gonna come too soon. Come too soon. Come too soon. Come too soon. I don't swoon, I come too soon. And you could win this. End my cold jizz. Justin says no. He just says you can only win this S2000. Yep. Giving away an S2000. Click the link in the description and head on over to go.getenteredtowin.com/regularcars. Buy a mug or digital download and you're automatically entered to win this S2000 and come in my sheets. Justin still says no. Pump up my scrotum and tell me I'm full of cream. / S2K. Go.getenteredtowin.com/regularcars. You know, just listen to this.
Ah, the sweet sound of nature. I am going through trees where there are deer and lovely little chirping birds. Meanwhile, S2000. Well, that's not low enough for deer. There we go. Every shift is a triumph and a dedication to every single nut I have ever busted. Here I go again. Woo! You know that bit from that one song? What is it? I Gotta Get Free? Who sang that? You're shouting it out right now. You know the beginning verses that said, "We're not fucking around"? That is what the S2000 was. Fine. We're gonna out Miata. We're gonna make the first real modern Roadster, and from jump, we're not fucking around. Yes.
Get a mug, get a digital download, get a chance to win the car that will make everyone shut their Nissan Z-Car Z-Face. Click on the link in the description, go.getenteredtowin.com/regularcars. With the prices of S2000s, I don't know when we're going to get a chance to do this again, because it's been 20 years. 21 years. This S2K is old enough to drink. It's old enough to drink Jack Daniels and claim it's good whiskey, like every 21-year-old does. And the S2000 isn't really a performance car. It's a Roadster. Do you know how annoying classic Roadster drivers are? With their dining tables made of uncycled pine and their bathrobes wider than Dexy's Midnight Runners. Maybe because it's summer, but Roadsters are coming out of the mothballs these days. Ugh, running around and procreating like Catholic rabbits. You get a Roadster. You get an MGB. You get a Miata. Miatas are great, but Miatas fill the silences and conversations with all the overused phrases the internet just taught you. This week it's, "Thanks, I hate it." Roadsters just ooze with pre-cum of corporate rainbow washing in June. But the S2000? How could anybody hate the S2000? It was barely even here long enough to hate. Why did it leave? Why did Suburban Rhythm just quit? 10 years. 10 frickin' years. That's all we got of the S2000.
Hello? Waving hi there to the BRZ, the Toyota Brew. Oh, he's going the other way. Honda wanted to end the conversation to say, this is it. This is the ultimate Roadster. We're gonna take the absolute simplest form, inline 4, transmission, rear drive, nothing else. Everything in here is made to make you happy and aware. We're gonna even reduce cuteness out of it. No adjustable steering wheel. No power seats. Oh man. Hang on. Be nice to the people who live here. Shut the engine up just for a little bit. And it bothers me a little bit how much speculation is now involved with S2000s. People buy these things and they don't drive them. Why don't you just buy stock instead? I don't know, buy some stock in companies that make cardboard boxes. Everything's big box in Amazon now anyway. Buy an S2000 and drive it. But again, there's sacrilege in that because there's a finite amount of these cars left. They were done in 2009. But you were made to be brutal with them. Roadkill. Or maybe that was just a plastic bag. I know it's really windy in here, but the curious thing that I didn't really notice about the S2000 the first couple times I drove it, now that this one is essentially mine for a while, is I thought it really didn't have any power down low. But this does. I'm in 6th gear going 46 miles an hour. I just roll onto it. And I can stay quiet, I can stay polite, riding around quiet neighborhoods, and I'm not that guy until I drop it down like 4 gears, and then we're back in the power band, annoying everybody who works 3rd shift.
On 10 years of life, the Honda S2000 built this legacy that became a living embodiment for hype in its purest form, both in the positive and the negative sense. Positive because you're hyped for the experience, eager to finally get to the bottom of this car that you've heard so much about. Negative because when a car gets built up to this degree, you have to wonder if hype is all it has. Even when you adjust for inflation from the 2000s, the base 2-door convertible was $32,000. When accounting for inflation, that's close to $57,000 in 2023. That's more expensive than a Miata and almost expensive as a Porsche Boxster. But people are willing to pay $50,000 for an S2K in 2K3. But the difference comes down to the type of car Honda was trying to create here. Other performance roadsters privilege speed. I'm thinking about the Dodge Viper. Yes, that's a roadster. Well, the roadster version of it anyway. They're appealing to the crowd that wants nothing more than to outrun a speeding ticket. The S2000 isn't slow, of course, 250 horsepower, but it has more to offer than that. It has unbelievably perfect handling. What did I just say there? Unbelievably perfect? as if there's a grading scale to perfection? Well, we have to speak subjectively. Everything I touch in this car is for me, like everything angled for me. This car is meant to please the human being, in that every object is made to feel good. The gear shifter. It clicks, but it's not difficult to move. Its throw is very short, but it doesn't fight you. The engine responds to rev matching like a snare drum responds to a gack. There is no rev match assist here, just a happy four-cylinder that's ready to breathe. Rev matching in an S2K is so easy. Pop the throttle all the way to the floor for just a second. Pow, pow. Just like that. Pow, pow. You're already in line for the next gear down. Shift, pow, pow, down. That's it. They timed it perfectly for you. You don't need a computer to drive well. This is the marriage of just enough technology and the rest is analog. Honda tried Roadsters in the 60s with the S500 and the S600 before finally getting the formula down with the S800. It was the fastest 1-liter production car in the world in the late 60s, redlining at 10,000 RPM. It was the byproduct of Honda's skill in motorcycle engineering, since the S800 had the agility and the athleticism of something with 2 wheels. But Honda never got around to officially exporting the S800 in the United States, and anyway, there were only 11,536 models produced. So one could understand why Honda didn't prioritize making any more Roadsters over the years. In fact, the world wouldn't hear about another Honda Roadster until the SSM, that is, Sports Study Model, concept car at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1995. With experience working on the Integra Type R and the NSX, the lead engineer of the project was the right guy in the right place at the right time, looking to capture the spirit of what Honda did in the 60s for a modern audience. So he and his team got to work. And after an intensive development process, they were able to bring the Honda S2000 to life in 1999. It was unique in that it was the rare production car that didn't have a whole lot of interference from marketing. Normally, the suits would have been all over something like this because there's no way this makes sense for a production car. Like the Lexus LFA or Acura NSX, the S2K wasn't made to sell or priced to move. And yet it did. It begs the question on what Honda hoped to accomplish here. Because you can make a great car, but it has to kind of be for someone, right? Well, kind of. The engineers tested the S2000 on real racetracks and mountain roads, and hardly a thought was given to how your bog standard highway system doesn't really necessitate this level of engineering. But that's the car's strength, because the engineers made something they would enjoy driving, rather than building to a demographic. In essence, Honda made a car for themselves and the people who loved cars in the way their engineers did. And that passion comes through in what they built. Today, just about every performance car feels like it's geared towards dudes who film all their TikToks at dick level, or those bald, muscular project managers who buy a Dodge Challenger to look cool and then park it in a Starbucks drive-thru line that's just long enough to make them late for a meeting with HR. Dude, trust me, Linda from accounting doesn't want to hear that her body is 70% water and you're trying to drown like Brian Jones. Because even more than your average Econobox daily, a performance car has an identity that's reactive to the person driving it. Or in our case, a performance roadster. After all, it would be easy to fall victim to the sense of entitlement that a performance car inspires in the worst of us. Too many people in M-Series or Z cars drive like they have diplomatic immunity. It's the kind of entitlement of men who think they deserve a Make-A-Wish visit the minute they spot a gray hair. But you don't have to be that guy. You can be the cool owner who's sincere in their affection for a car and what it delivers without running it up the flagpole to see who enlists for a brand war happening entirely on the battlefield of the impotent mind. The Honda S2000 sold and was loved because it had a very specific design philosophy that purposely resisted mass appeal. According to the lead engineer, they were going more for a direct and linear response, sharp handling, and the necessary power and torque for fast progress and safe overtaking, but nothing too excessive. At least that was the translation. It was an approach that privileged a more rewarding driving dynamic over pure speed, because you can get your zoom boner from 1,000 other fast cars. But this is a Roadster's Roadster. It's the anti-Miata. And don't you dare mistake it for one. 'Cause I'm better than you and 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 you. Call an S2K an MX-5 and you'll get more angry stares than an American who confuses an Irishman for a Scot. When this dropped in '99, it was lighter than an M Roadster and lighter than even a Porsche Boxster. But with all of the racing caliber, tuning and suspension and acceleration that's both quick off the line and consistent through the rev range. The financial crisis that hit the automotive industry in the late 2000s is what ultimately doomed this car, because no company could afford to sustain cars that weren't immediately justifying their expense. Do you hear me? That's why the S2K stopped. The Honda S2000 ended right when the 2008 real estate crash began. It got one more year in 2009 because the cars are already built, but then that was it. That was the end. If there had been no financial greed, maybe the S2000 would have lived on. Yeah, put that in margin call, although it doesn't really matter now, since the word is Honda's doing with the S2000 what it probably would have done anyway if it had lived. They're supposedly making an EV version. Fine, whatever. I mean, just call it the S3000. Don't call it the S-Elec or S-Tron. S-John I could get behind, though. I'm not saying making electric roadsters is a bad thing. I'd love to try one. But I feel something would be lost in getting rid of that engine, that beautiful inline four, even if it's not a K20 or, a spiritual successor to it. Some high revving, record breaking, valve popping. When you listen to this de-restricted engine, you can hear the British influence in it. How all the great British roadsters sort of set the tone, and all the raspy triumphs, they're in this.
As you can see from my S2000, I am about to merge into traffic. No one knows how to merge like me. No one knows the experience of merging like me. I'm about to assert my dominance all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania with this merge. Babies will be renamed to commemorate the absolute majestic nature of this merge that's about to happen. Oh boy, here comes my chance to merge. That guy is turning. Watch me merge.
Even though this isn't a tribute to British motoring, as it influenced all roadsters, exists in a little bit here. And a Honda S2000 is a sincere expression of automotive engineering and enthusiasm to counteract the great con of acceleration and the notion that going fast is all there is. It's a liar's cope to deal with the exit wounds of living, realizing that you overpaid for a car that will pin you to the seat and do nothing else. I'm looking at you, Dodge Demon, Shelby GT500, Tesla Model Plaid. Of course, if that's all you want to do, then more power to you, literally. But while I clearly enjoy V8s and LSs, they're like bringing Aquaman to a squirt gun fight. I keep coming back to the word sincere, but that's the best way to describe this. This is a car that doesn't hide what it is. Its poker face is as terrible as a guilty husband's. That's the strength of the S2000, as it's a strength in anybody with that quality. We celebrate the musician who puts their genuine self on stage. We celebrate the comedian who doesn't let any barriers between you and their mind. We celebrate the visual artist that leaves it all on the page. We celebrate the writer who will sacrifice dignity for that one great sentence. Take pride in the knowledge that what people see in you is what they're going to get. Be proud of your Hondas from the 2000s. And you know what? Screw it. Take pride of your S2000 if you already own one. It's worth the money because this experience cannot be replicated.
This is the first time I've had an S2000 all to myself, and I'm really given a chance to drive this car the way Honda intended, and that's just to be an absolute shit stain with it. I am nowhere near the red line. And this stuff is easy for the car. I skipped a gear there. That went straight to fifth.
An S2000 no longer meets the safety standards of year 2023 and beyond. This particular driving experience and this level of perfection and engineering only exists from 2009 back to 99. My love for the S2000 is bared to you all. I want you to experience what I've been blessed to experience for these few weeks. Click on the link in the description. Go to go.getenteredtowin.com/regularcars. Buy a mug or a digital download, and you're going to get a chance to win art, visual, tactile, auditory art. A grand salute to the possibilities of the early 2000s. What a fantastic machine.
I'm not proud of all the Hondas that I drove in the name of being like a Honda Pro. For the shame of passing monsters on the road, doubled in just to play the radio. I don't like those other cars I can't afford, so I guess I keep on driving my old Ford. Honey, I pray and pray I'll get to own a car as good as Honda made. I drive in style by driving Honda S.